Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of a very long series of guides that are designed to make you better at the game. And that you is anybody that wants to play Star Wars, and that's, anybody who just is getting started, who's been playing for a while, or who is a veteran MMO player like myself. Now, these guides at first will be very much designed for Star Wars in mind, but as we get into the more intermediate and advanced guides, you'll start learning different things about MMOs, so you can actually carry a lot of this knowledge into different games. And for those of you who are veteran players, you may not get a whole lot from the first set of guides, but there might be something here and there that you're able to glean. These guides are designed to build upon each other, so as we're going through beginner to advanced, you're going to be learning the things that you need in order to become a more advanced player. We're going to be talking about things such as key bindings, how to set those up properly so you're playing the most efficiently that you can. Movement is a big thing, learning how to move in the game properly, that way you're once again being more efficient. And even your interface, so setting that up properly based on what kind of class you play. Do you play a tank or a healer? Because that changes the way your interface will be set up. We'll also be talking about more obscure things such as how to become a better leader for your raid or your guild or your group. And then there's the other things such as gamer gear. What kind of gamer gear do you buy? Because that changes based on person. Not every person is going to play well with the same piece of gear. All in all though, I'm pretty sure no matter who you are, you will learn something from these guides. And in fact, I can guarantee that. The more advanced stuff most people will learn a lot from, but the more basic stuff is designed to get new players into the game. So, if you want your friends to play, this is a good spot to start and to learn about the game, or to go back and learn the basics if you've gotten into bad habits. But it's worth noting that these videos will be releasing on Mondays and Tuesdays every week, and if there's ever an outdated video, such as a class gets completely reworked and my guide for that class gets outdated, then I'll label the video outdated and I'll go back and make a new video for it. But we need to get into the first guide, and the first guide is about the business model of the game. And this sounds kind of strange to have a guide on this, but it is the very first thing that you encounter when you boot up the game. I mean, you're going to be seeing, if you're a free-to-play person, you're going to be seeing tons of messages everywhere telling you to subscribe. It's just the way their marketing works. So we want to let you guys know why different account types work and why different account types don't work for certain things, and just basically how to get around the business model and how to work with it, because it can be a little confusing at first, and once you learn about it, it's a lot less daunting and you'll save a lot more money. So there are 3 different account types. There's free-to-play, as I said earlier, then there's preferred, and then there's subscription. So free-to-play means that you haven't paid a single dime into the game, and you're basically just cruising along without having to worry about buying anything at all or spending any money on the game. Preferred happens once you've spent at least $5 on the game, which isn't a whole lot, and we'll talk about that. And then there's subscription, which is a $15 a month subscription, typical subscription deal. Now, the different things that you get are fairly significant based on what account type you have. So there is a full breakdown at www.SWTOR.com/free/features, and that literally breaks down every little thing and different changes that different account types get. So let's talk about what I would prefer you guys to be. I mean, subscription's not for everybody, even though it is the best deal, because with subscription you get everything. You have unlimited operation runs, which are the raids. You have unlimited dungeon runs that you can do unlimited PvP. You don't have to worry about being restricted on your money or anything like that, and it's literally the best deal. However, it's not what everybody should do, and I would say preferred is the suggested account type. So once again, you get preferred by spending at least $5 on the game, and once you're preferred, you get a lot of basic things that you don't get as free to play. You get a higher credit cap that you can have. You can have 350,000 credits as opposed to 200,000 credits. You're able to level up slightly faster than free to play, but not as fast as subscription, and you get basic access to mail and messaging and the normal stuff you would expect in an MMO. However, what free-to-play does have that the rest also do, so this is the most important thing, is that free-to-play does have access to all 8 class stories, and each class has a different individual story that goes along with it, and there's shared stories between them, standard quests, but for the most part your normal character story is broken up based on different classes. So there's 8 of those, and each of them have over 60 hours of gameplay. That's quite significant. So with free-to-play, you are literally getting like 8 major RPGs is basically the breakdown here, and that's a pretty dang good deal considering that's the meat of the game. You know, the story is kind of the driving force with it. So with free-to-play, you can literally just play through the 8 stories and then be done with it if you want to. And I wouldn't actually suggest spending money until you realize, like, okay, I could have, maybe an XP boost, and that would help out a lot. And then you'd get, preferred status, which gives you a ton of additional stuff with that. So, wait to spend any money until you realize, like, hey, this is actually a game that I really enjoy. And typically, I would say per person it changes, but it's usually around level 10 to 15 that you realize that kind of thing. So don't be spending money the second you get into the game unless you're really sure of it. But if you're a preferred player and you're wondering, like, when do I subscribe? When is a good spot to subscribe? I would say typically it's after you've done all of the questing that you want to do. Have you leveled a character to 50 or 55 based on, the expansion? Because that's another thing to take into account, is that there is a cheap expansion that raises the level cap to 55 and gives you all new content. Once you've gotten through all that stuff, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and subscribe if you're really interested in dungeons or PvP or raids. Once you get to that point, it is worth the subscription because you get unlimited access to all that stuff. So now that we've broken down all the different account types, let's talk about the Cartel Market. This is the most important thing. It's the in-game shop, but there's a lot of misconceptions that come along with it. So we'll just go through it one at a time. So the first thing is that the Cartel coins are the in-game currency, right? They have a direct transfer rate, so $5 is 500 Cartel coins. $10 is 1,000 Cartel coins. There's nothing, too spectacular about that. And once you buy $5 worth of Cartel coins, you become preferred status. So you actually get access to a lot of the things that you could buy on the Cartel Market. But we'll get there. So the first misconception is that the game is pay to win. Now you'll see gear on the Cartel Market, but 99% of the gear is actually what we call empty gear. There's no stats on it. You could put stats on it later, and we'll talk about that in a different guide. But you got to understand that there is no pay to win in the game. You're not buying power directly once you get into that Cartel Market. There's no way to do such a thing. There are a few exceptions. There are pieces of gear that do have stats on them, but they are limited to a specific level. So it doesn't matter if you're, coming in and you're buying that right off the bat. You can't wear it at level 1. It's a lot of it's like level 41 gear. Once you get that, you will only use it for a couple levels. It doesn't actually give you an advantage, and it certainly doesn't give you an advantage in PvP because it doesn't have the different stats that you need for PvP. It's just one of those, like, I'm having a hard time finding a piece of gear, leveling up to replace this. So, they put some gaps in there. And that being said, you can actually craft gear that is as good as the stuff that you can buy on the Cartel Market that does have stats, and it is few and far between, so it's not a huge worry. So all of the gear on the Cartel Market is mostly cosmetic, as I had said, so there's nothing to be concerned about there. And the other thing is that you'll find mounts or race unlocks, so you can, like, play a Cathar or something of the sort, which is, you get access to it as a subscriber, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you really wanted to unlock one, go for it. I mean, that's your prerogative. It's your character. You play the character that you want to play, and we'll talk about that in a different guide. So let's talk about the next bit of the Cartel Market, which is that everything on the Cartel Market that you can buy with Cartel coins, you can then sell or trade to another player. This is important. This means that you can actually, if you're a subscriber, buy literally anything with credits, because you'll find all of that stuff that's on the Cartel Market on the GTN, or the auction house. The GTN stands for Galactic Trade Network. You'll find a small limitation here, though, which is that the preferred and free-to-play have that credit limit, and some things you'll find, such as, really rare mounts that come out of the Cartel Market, they'll be over 1 million credits, and that's an issue because preferred members have a credit cap of 350,000 and free-to-play of a credit cap of 200,000, so you obviously can't buy those things. Subscribers won't have an issue with that, especially if they're playing that in-game and they have a lot of credits to spare, so that's another benefit to the subscribers. So if something comes out that you're really excited for, it might be worth throwing down a subscription, getting the Cartel coins, even to buy it off the Cartel Market. But if you can't, then you buy it with the credits that you have available to you in the game, if you can get that much. And the last major thing to note with the Cartel Market are the Cartel Packs, and these are basically a pack of set items, but the items are randomized through a list, so you're basically gambling. So you pay like $3 or whatever it is to get a Cartel Pack, and it could have some really rare items in there. You could sell those on the GTN or use them. If you sell them, you can make a lot of credits, so there's a lot of opportunity to make credits through this, and you could technically say this is buying credits, but it's really not, because you have to go through the effort of selling them, and some things aren't worth more than others, and it is really a gamble with these Cartel Packs. However, this is, I would say, where most of BioWare makes its money off of the game, because these things are kind of exciting. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's XP boosts, there's reputation items, there's a lot of really cool things that come out of these, but once again, they can be bought with credits in the game, so you're not necessarily gambling away. If you really want them, you could buy them with credits. They're fairly cheap, usually under 200,000, so you're not wasting your money technically if you're a free-to-play, but you can have access to them as a free-to-play person. So there is a lot of confusion that can happen here. The business model can get a little overlapped with certain things, and you can get lost in it very quickly. So we'll conclude with kind of an overview of things that you need to remember. So the first thing is that this game is not a dying game, and in fact, EA and BioWare are making a lot of money off of it. When the game switched to free-to-play, I believe the game became a lot better, and this is from a veteran player of the game who came from the beta. I think the game is literally better free-to-play. There's a lot more options there for getting people into the game, so it's more accessible, which means more players, which just is good for everybody, which is a reason why I'm making these guides, so that we can get those new players better at the game, which once again makes the game better, and it's just kind of the snowballing effect. So remember that preferred status on your account is probably the best. I would suggest it 99% of the time. Free-to-play isn't suggested, so just eventually, if you like the game, spend $5 and get to preferred. Subscription is not necessarily one thing I would suggest for individual players. It is kind of I guess it would be one of those things that you have to determine whether or not it's for you to begin with, and usually don't determine that until you're pretty dang far into the game. Overall, though, that is a fairly in-depth breakdown of the business model for SWTOR, and if you have any questions, please ask in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer them. We have some really great community members on the channel, and they'll help answer them as well. So as we're going forward, we have a lot of really cool advanced guides, but I needed to get this, messy business model out of the way first. Now we can get down into the cool things, like how to actually play the game, and how to really get your enjoyment out of it, and your money's worth if you're a subscriber. But on that note, we shall see you guys next time.